Alright, welcome everyone to the Character Creator. I thought it would be prudent of me to show a little bit of how this will all work. Now, first off, you have your basic information on the top. All of this you can pretty much just make up for yourself. Of course, name, gender, race. For the race, currently, I'm only doing human characters, though in the future we might change that up. So everyone will have human, though, at this point. Then your age, of course, recommended 15 to 50. If you want to be a 6-year-old, sure. Be a 6-year-old with a tendency for violence, that's fine. Nation and province. Now, this can be a little bit tricky. I will soon share a map file which you can open up, and it will show you all of the different nations and the provinces in which they reside. You'll be able to choose from that a nation of your choice and the province, and then choose any backstory that you'd like. If you'd like to be the ruler of that province, feel free. If not, you can just choose to be a merchant, choose to be a soldier, choose to be whatever you want, all up to you. Fighting information. Now with fighting information, this is going to be a little bit tricky because I still haven't described entirely how the fighting system works, but when I do, you'll be able to fill this out a little bit easier. The only thing that you're going to want to fill out currently is the current class. Now the current class, there are 5 different classes to choose from. You have your fighter, which will be people who use lances and swords. Brutes, using brawling or gauntlets and axes. Rangers, bow and throwing weapons like daggers and the like. Monks, which are moral and elemental magicians. And scholars, who are wild and reason magicians. We'll get on that a little bit later. All you need to know is if you want to be somebody who's using a weapon, choose the first 3, and if you want to use the magic, use the last 2. Past classes, you don't have any past classes yet, and personal skill, we will talk about. Once you understand how personal skills work, you can make one up for yourself, and then I'll okay it, and we'll be able to add it into the game. Next up, you have your additional skills. Now with your additional skills, these will be things that are not your personal skill, and you'll have 5 slots to fill up. I'll describe when you get additional skills and what those additional skills are later. As level 1, you won't have any additional skills. Stats. Now this is the meat and potatoes of your character. You'll be starting with 10 different stats to modify, with 25 stat increases to spend. What this means is that you can increase any of these numbers past your starting number, 3, or in HP for your health, 12. You can increase it up to 25 times, but you may not start above 9 in any stat, of course, except HP. What this means is, let's say I want to be a fighter who uses a sword. I'm most likely going to want to be strong. So you have your health points, your strength, your defense, your speed, dexterity, your luck, your magic, your resistance, your charm, and your perception. HP, of course, self-explanatory. Strength, this is what deals your damage. So does magic, but for your respective classes. Defense is against strength. Your basic formula is your strength minus defense equals, your strength minus your opponent's defense equals the damage you do. That's kind of the basic formula. Same thing for resistance. Resistance is just for magic. Magic minus your opponent's resistance equals the damage you will do. Then you have your speed. With speed, speed determines the number of hits you'll be able to make in a given turn. When you attack somebody, if your speed is 5 or more units above your opponent's, you get to hit them twice. For example, if I have a speed of 3 and you have a speed of 8, you can hit me twice on a turn, while I can only hit you once back. Charm. Charm sometimes gets used for certain abilities, but for the most part this will be used outside of battle. Dexterity. Dexterity determines how good you are at hitting something, your hit rate. For example, if you have a very high dexterity, your chances of hitting your opponent are high. If you have a low dexterity and your opponent's dexterity is high, they'll be able to hit you. You probably won't be able to hit them. The other thing to keep in mind is your perception. This is your stat that is the foil to your dexterity. So the calculation is going to be something like your dexterity is your hit versus their perception, which is their evasion. So a higher perception, the better they are at evading an attack. The second row, the third column and sixth column indicate the respective growth rates. So perception, with a stat of 3, currently has a growth rate of 10%, which means you have a 10% chance to increase your perception by 1 on any given level up. Thing to know about this: when you start your character, you'll have 200% percentages to spend across your 10 percentile units. With that, you cannot be above 60%. So you may not be 70% increasing your HP, because that would just be absurd. Also, you'll have other things that modify your growth rate later on, so you're going to want it to be below 100% to take advantage of that. The other thing is I recommend going at intervals of 5% so that when you do this upgrade, you can roll a d20 to do so. Now, that's a lot of words. I'll explain it better when we're in person and we're working on our sheets on session 0. But for now, if you want to start working on this, if you feel like you understand how it works, feel free. Get to work and start making your character with your stats. Next up, we have traits. Now, traits are broken up into 3 different groups. And it kind of is weird how it's oriented just because of the page split. This is all one thing right here. With your traits, you have 3 groups: your standard attacks, magical attacks, and dancing, because dancing is very important. Never forget that. Dancing is a very important trait, but we won't worry about dancing. For now, the thing to keep in mind is your traits for physical normal attacks are all ranked at level D. Your rankings for these go from D to S. So D, C, B, A, and S. Basically, it's a grade score. Right now, everyone's at D because no one can do this very well. But as you get better, maybe you'll have an A rank in Sword, or an S rank, superior rank in Sword. The higher your rank is, the better weapons you can use. Everyone can use a training lance, which requires a level D, but not everyone can use the steel lance, which ordinarily will use a level B lance usage. Does this make sense? I hope so. Other thing to keep in mind is your magical. Now, magic, not everyone's magical proficient, which means that no one really has this ability currently. However, if you choose to go into magic, you'll be able to go on a skilling from from A or S. Now, it's kind of goofy, but you only can get 2 rank ups in any of these given spaces. Getting ahead of myself. For any individual element, or wild, moral, or reason, you may choose to level it up A to S, whereas your physical ones are all the way from D to S. We will talk more about what this means when we talk about classes and how magic works. All you need to know is that the higher your rating for your magic, the better your respective magic in that area of magic will do. Dancing, as you get better at dancing, you can choose. As you get level up, you can choose to become better at dancing. With dancing, the only thing to keep in mind, I guess it could come up if we head to some ball. Of course, having a high ranking in your dance will do you massive benefits. But thing with dancing is a short term for the combat, which basically allows you to take another turn. Basically, we'll get there. Don't worry about dancing right now. Movement. When we talk movement, everyone's at infantry rating C. Everyone is just currently a ground soldier. As you rank up, you'll be able to change your movement to be either a cavalry unit, not cavalry, oh my goodness, an armored unit, an aerial or flying unit. So when we get further in the game, you'll be able to get a steed, or you'll be able to become heavily armored. Right now, everyone's just at a movement level C. For traits, for movement, these things will change throughout the game, but for now, don't worry anything. You won't be changing anything here for your character creation. Same thing goes for your spell list and your item list. If you are choosing to be one of the monk or the scholar, you'll be given a standard spell. Or if you are placed as a fighter, brute, or ranger, or excuse me, my goodness, fighter, brute, or ranger, you'll be able to be given an item. So everyone will start with something in the spell list or something in the item list. But for now, you won't have anything here. We'll add this in later. Alright, I hope this makes sense in a very basic sense of how it all should work. We will talk about this more in session 0 and complete all this. But if you want it to work ahead, here are some recommendations for you to get started. Thank you guys.